amplified divisions in our community. Among
the Greens have amplified divisions in our community.
It's not the people doing the genocide
No.
that's causing this division. It's people talking about it.
No,
Just shut the up.
Our community should be united in doing nothing. In doing absolutely nothing.
Selling weapons to Israel.
While we do that. Doing nothing whilst we commit crimes.
Okay. What else we got? Oh, okay.
Anthony Albanese defends free Qantas upgrades, stating they've all been declared. Qantas is an Australian air travel company. How the fuck do you explain what Qantas is? Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has defended receiving dozens of free Qantas upgrades and his relationship with the Qantas chief executive Alan Joyce. So he's received at least 22 free upgrades over more than a decade. From time to time, members of parliament receive upgrades. What's important is that they are declared. All of mine have been declared. So it's not as bad as what I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as what Eric Adams is doing, where he's just like getting so many. He's doing everything to go through those Turkish Airlines and stuff like that.
That's so funny.
He's just getting so many upgrades to things in Qantas, and he also has a membership to the Qantas Lounge. Is there an American equivalent of the Qantas Lounge? Probably.
Oh yeah, like just any lounges.
The lounge in the airport. So he's got membership. It's like an exclusive club. He's got a membership to that, which he doesn't have to pay for. I believe his fiance Jodie Hayden and his son Nathan Albanese has membership as well.
Imagine being just an anagram of your dad's name. His dad loves himself so much. Imagine if you named your son like Kusel or something. Or Salik. Suckler.
And apparently, so he's mates with...
Axel. That's spelled Acsul.
Cool. That's pretty cool. Claus. Claus. So his relationship with Joyce. So apparently he had private conversations with Alan Joyce, about his getting the upgrades with his flights and about his membership in the Qantas Lounge. So it wasn't just them being like, don't worry, Mr. Albanese, we've taken care of you. You're a valid thing. Love your work. Subtle.
Hey, Alan, I'm about to catch a flight. What can you do for me? And what do you need?
Alan, I'm the Prime Minister. Why the fuck don't I have first class tickets?
Mm-hmm. But it's the weirdest kind of grift because it's like
so pathetic.
Yeah, it's just like, why? You don't need that. You have money. They're giving you nothing. They should give you a plane. Yeah. They should give you a private jet.
Well, and it's like
they owe the whole company to the fucking government, and they stole it from us.
Well, that's the ironic thing about Qantas is it used to be the state-owned airline.
Yeah.
And then
we gave it to these guys and
privatized.
And now our politicians have to beg for fucking first-class tickets.
But it's still, Qantas is still given really preferential treatment. There's still this ideological attachment to Qantas being the spirits of Australia. And
I think that's probably, this is all part of that though. The fact that they fucking wine and dine all the politicians.
Yep.
So they can keep up this charade of a private company that we pretend means something to us.
And they've been bailed out so many fucking times, and their market is completely protected. Apparently Qatar Air is trying to get in to the Australian market. And we've said, no, we're not giving you a license. And a lot of that's coming from Qantas. They want to protect their markets.
When I picture a Qatari flight, I'm picturing a normal airplane. And at the bottom, you have hundreds of South Asian migrants doing the Spartacus kind of rowing thing down there. Probably better work conditions than Qantas, to be fair. But,
Qantas is always laying everyone off. Yeah. They do these amazing things where all the different... the people who refuel the planes, that's a different company to the corporate structure is so split up. So the people who refuel the plane are technically employed by a different company to the people on the plane, to the people who move the bags.
So they can't
collectively organize. And there's all these different EBAs split up all around the shop. And then they fire all these people and then they move them to this other company. They do these ridiculous corporate
What I was going to say for the stream, the first 3 hours is Lucas is one entity and the next 3 hours is Lucas. One of them is Lucas hired by me. The other one's Lucas hired by Alex.
What?
Yeah. So it's it's just fair because it's a two-person thing.
Yeah, of course.
So
That's
this
fine.
is now Alex Lucas.
Oh God, and I
Yeah.
wasn't able to
You
negotiate.
didn't, yeah.
any
I don't know.
conditions at all.
He's working as well. You can't really talk to him
Oh
now.
God!
Anyway,
Don't worry,
super.
they'll bail you out if there's any trouble.
Yeah, yeah,
anyway, you'll be covered.
I'll find a new Lucas
Yeah.
for free.
And like, it's so stupid because they say it's all up front. We've clarified it, but it's just like this looks so bad. Again, if you wanted us to take you serious at all, don't fucking do it. His son, Nathan Albanese, is my age, right? This 25-year-old does not need membership to a Qantas lounge. He got hired as a fucking intern. He got some perfect intern at EY or something like, or Price Waterhouse or something. These dodgy fucking companies. Like, why? Just
Although, have you ever been in a lounge?
No, I've never been on a lounge.
I was in the Virgin Lounge because my boss from the Chaser was a Virgin frequent flyer. Fucking loved
He was
lounges.
a Virgin frequent flyer.
Yeah.
That sleazebag.
Man, I love lounging with Virgins. It's that's heaven. That's El Jana.
Yeah.
Is the Virgin Lounge. But
Yeah. So, and yeah, like last week we were talking about his fucking, they're buying the house. Just Albo cannot catch a break. And the pathetic thing is, it's all his own doing.
yeah, he just fucks himself.
And like,
Because he's greedy.
it's amazing.
He cares more about these tiny perks than he does about running a campaign and looking like a relatable person.
And there's also, Labor is complaining about the fact that they've got good policies, but the media's not talking about it. Like, and it's like, that's your job. Your job is to guide public opinion.
Yeah.
You're doing these policies and you're being slammed for all the shit you're doing privately. Stop doing this shit if you want anyone to listen to your fucking
Also,
policies. Otherwise, don't complain.
I've survived my whole life without having access to the Qantas Lounge or buying a fucking $5 million house.
And you don't earn anywhere near as much as him.
No, and it's just like it's not that hard to not do this stuff.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Your life is probably super cushy without any of this.
Well, maybe if they're just upgrading all of this stuff, maybe it is hard.
Yeah.
You buy a ticket and you go, we've upgraded you. No, please.
Stop.
Here, more wine. No, I don't want to.
I think of my credibility.
Jeffrey Watson.
Who's that?
I believe he's the guy who was appointed to do the CFMEU review.
Oh my
This
god.
guy gets so much bloody work.
He must be really good at his job.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. That's how Albo's going.
I love the inverse of when you got someone like Trump, where like part of what like motivates people to vote for him is that he's very rich. It's just like seeing someone in a private jet. You're like, wow, they must be really smart. And it says it's not. At least we're angry about this. And it's not just like, wow, good on him. He's such a good hustle grind.
They treat him with look, and I hate this line as well. From time to time, members of parliament receive upgrades. What's important is that they've been declared. All of mine have been declared. Telling us what is important about the concern.
Yeah.
Look. No. The story that you should be telling is not that I've received this, because that's not the important thing. Mm-hmm. The important thing is that they've been declared, and I've done that. It's like the hubris.
Yeah.
Not the hubris. I don't know what it is. I've had too many Red Bulls. Just the accept the criticism.
Yeah.
The transparency. But he gets so defensive every single time someone says, rightfully, don't you think this is a bad look? No.
Yeah.
No, this isn't a bad look. Just relax.
No, but I think he's obviously not going to stop doing these really stupid things. So this is the only option. This is the only option. If you're not going to change your behavior, the only option is to try to obfuscate.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is gaslighting. He's such a snarky little shit.
What is this? Chris Foley.
Queensland election.
Man, talk about nepotism and the mafia. Albo's getting every single Italian
all
a top
Italians.
job.
It's just
It's a racket.
Giving him this do-nothing job.
I mean, he got voted.
He got voted in. He beat.
But I don't know. I still think there's some strings pulled at the old spaghetti factory, if you know what I'm saying.
So Labour have been in charge for the last 9 years or something. Pretty interesting.
It's fucking sick.
In Queensland, since I think in the last 35 years, 30 years of that has been Labour.
Yeah, it's wild because Queensland always has the stereotype of being like libbed up.
Like conservative.
Yeah.
I think Queensland is very hard to pin down. That's actually what their story is, that they're all conservative. Their Labour Party was quite a conservative Labour Party, so there is some truth to that. But also,
what was Bjelke-Petersen?
He was LNP.
Okay.
That's right. He was a national. He was a national. That's why Queensland doesn't have a national party anymore.
Oh, because they
He
hated
was
it so much.
So fucking corrupt.
So we had like a police state in Queensland for a while where local guy, what is his name? Something bjelke-petersen.
Joe Bjelke-Petersen.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just like I don't know, some weird like authoritarian fiefdom in Australia.
He was a peanut farmer, I believe.
He was a peanut farmer.
He was a peanut farmer.
So he was used to cracking some shells.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was a farmer. He was in the Nationals Party. And he just completely gerrymandered system and complete state capture by the National Party. And they notoriously love to go in and crack heads of hippies and protesters and unions. Big police riots when there was boycotts of the South African cricket team because he was pro-apartheid.
You're like South Africans. What about if I hit you in the head?
He was going crazy. He was a dictator. And the police were completely in his pocket, completely corrupt.
Our friend's dad went to jail in Queensland under him. It was crazy. So he was a student at the time, and there were a bunch of protests happening. But like the freaky thing the police would do is that they'd kind of get you and lure you into an alleyway out of sight and then beat the shit out of you and then charge you with like whatever resisting or something. And this guy was a student at one of the universities in Brisbane. So through his university, he was able to get access to a camera. So he would camp out in these alleyways and take photos of the police when they're doing this stuff. And then at one point he got caught and they were grabbing him and they managed to get his camera, but he ran away. And when they've got the camera, they found out it was from this university. So they went in, they tracked him down and they were like, you have to come to court for the crime of photographing police, beating people up. And like he was trying to avoid it, but whatever. He went to court. He went to court, and as he was walking up the steps, the kind of local constable caught him and took him into a lockup. So he missed his court date, and because of that, he was able to be kept in prison. But the whole thing is that no one knew. His family wasn't told. He just was disappeared for like months.
It's gulag.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
The NKVD.
And like it's funny because you look at Australia, you don't think about it as that kind of place, but like it definitely was, and like it can still be. You know, like
Australia has such fucking amnesia of our own history. Even when it's interesting, like
when you have a dictator,
corruption. New South Wales used to be so fucking corrupt. The story for another time. But yeah, so the new premier, this LNP one. So because Joe Bjelke-Petersen was so fucking corrupt, they no longer have a nationalist party. They've got one party, the LNP, Liberal National Party now. Chris Foley, basically all he said during the campaign was adult time for an adult crime, which means these kids are committing crimes and they're getting let off too easy. We're going to lock them up as though they're adults.
Oh, so he's just Labor by like affiliation.
No, this is LNP.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, this is the Liberal who won. And
the Liberals won.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't know how to read. Okay, cool.
LNP.
I'm back.
You asked me before who are the ALP. So it's similar. LNP, Liberal National Party.
I wish I knew more about
Australian Labor Party. We'll get back to America soon.
Adult time for adult crime. That's a good sentence.
But saying that there's these crimes spikes, and particularly it's youth
crime
who are doing it. When they are talking about that, what they mean is they're concerned about Aboriginal kids doing this. They are already completely overrepresented in prisons for the population, and they are treated horribly, absolutely horribly in these prisons. In Queensland, the government previously got in trouble for holding kids in adult detention centres because the kids' centres were overflowing. They didn't have enough space to keep these kids, so they were storing them in adult ones. That is against the Australian human rights. The Human Rights Commission came out and said you cannot keep children in adult prisons.
Fucking terrifying.
What did the Queensland government do? This was Labor, by the way. They suspended the human rights legislation from applying in that situation so that they could keep locking up children. The Libs now, they want to go a step further. That wasn't good enough. They want to do adult time for adult crime.
What differentiates a kid crime from an adult crime? What's a specifically adult crime that they're targeting?
They're saying that these kids are using knives and they're doing robberies
Instead of like slingshots and child
exactly.
stuff.
They're not stealing candy.
Yeah.
They're not playing hooky from school. No, they're doing adult crime. Therefore, they deserve adult time. They should not be given lenient sentencing. The ridiculous thing is when you read these articles, they go, experts are unsure as to whether or not that's actually going to make a difference in crime. I don't want to lock up kids. I don't care. It's not that complicated to be like 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds. The criminal age responsibility, actually, I don't know what it is in Queensland, so I won't speak out of my ass. But
It's different in certain states.
Yeah, it depends on the state, right? We should not be locking up children. Can we all not agree that that is not good for a child, for them to be going to jail? It's 10 in Queensland as well.
That's insane. So what they want to expand it to 9-year-olds?
No, they want to increase the sentencing.
Oh, okay, right, because they get
lock the kids up for longer.
But surely you're just making a traumatized criminal factory. Yeah, you're starting them younger.
You're traumatizing children, which is bad for the child and for society at large.
Yeah.
But I do
it's also
not
funny
want to lock up kids.
because like we know how to reduce crime. You know,
Yeah, give
like
them money and help them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like giving opportunities, doing any like. Yeah, it's so funny to be like, no, we have to hit them. We have to brutalize them because then they're going to come out being upstanding citizens.
Yeah. So
That's what happens when you send a kid to prison.
So it was an interesting election because Labor in this, so they were the incumbents, but the polls were completely against them. They'd been in for a while. Everyone was like, it's going to be a complete wipeout. Labor were going to lose. Their premier, who's only been in for less than a year, Stephen Miles, who looks a lot like that guy on Twitter who goes, enjoying a pint on the thing, a Bosch.
The absolute governor.
Absolute governor. Bosch. That's what Stephen Miles looks a lot like.
Oh, wow.
It was also really muscly. He was pretty cool. He was doing like a really left populist campaign. He was like, he did free school. He said we're going to bring in free school lunches, which is not a thing here. He said we're going to. They've brought in 50 cents public transport fees. He said at one point they were going to do public-owned petrol stations. Cool. State-owned petrol stations to stop price gouging of petrol.
Also, he's like Hugo Chavez of Queensland.
And he did a lot better than was expected. The Greens did a lot worse. They lost a seat and they didn't really change elsewhere. And there's now this argument going on Twitter and amongst Greens saying that the Labor spent too much of their efforts trying to take back seats from the Greens. The Greens took last election, they took 2 seats in Brisbane, and the Labor were traumatised. This could not happen to them. And in Queensland, they don't have 2 houses. They've only got a lower house. And normally the Greens do much better in the Senate. So therefore, there have, for a long time, been no state-level Greens. But last election, they came in. And this time they lost a seat. But apparently some people in the Labor are pretty chuffed with the results. Yep. And this is...
Oh, no.
Federal Labor aren't.
This is something from everyone's favourite ABC presenter. She's so wonderful. I love her so much. Patricia Carr, or as everyone on the ABC insists on calling her because I think it makes her sound cool, PK. PK.
That's the gun.
Let's see what PK's thinking. Let's see what's PK up to, huh? Let's see what PK's thoughts are on the Queensland election.
Panicked by what's happened last night. In fact, they're quite chuffed at how they've done against the Greens. The Greens we saw had another bad night. But also in other parts of the state, they're still confident that Leichhardt in the far north of Queensland, Warren Inch is leaving, so they've still got some hope there. And they've made the point to me that this has shown that when the scrutiny's on both sides, things tighten right up. Should they be hopeful after this?
Look, we've got an election that will have to happen by May next year. There are many months, and to write off federal Labor is ridiculous. Of course, they should be hopeful. But there are messages here. I think the one in relation to the Greens is a really strong one that they seem to me almost ecstatic about, I'll be honest, in terms of the conversations I've had.
Because they're getting smashed really hard right now at the federal level by the Greens leading the debate on housing mainly. Yeah. The Greens are the ones who are pushing that the hardest, and they're getting some support. on that. So the idea here is that Labor doing good against their lefts, that's their actual priority. That's their actual priority.
Who cares if we're losing power?
Yeah.
Who cares if the other party's getting in?
Yeah.
At least we're all like owning the lefties.
They feel like they've slayed the.
PK is not low-key racist. She is high-key racist. You should go back and read some of the stuff she wrote about the intervention, the 2005 intervention, sorry. And yeah, she's horrible. She's absolutely horrible. I'll find some articles later and bring them up.
Greens, that you know, the public has buyer's remorse, that the Greens have become more extremist. We're thinking about things like Max Chandler May, the sheriff.
Oh, that's horrible. Extremist Greens. Oh, I'm so scared.
During the stage at the CFMEU rally.
Oh God, he shared a stage with the CFMEU.
But I think it goes back further, actually, if you look at their competition with the Greens, to the Greens questioning The Voice, to the way the Greens have responded to Gaza, and have amplified divisions in our community. Among
the Greens have amplified divisions in our community.
It's not the people doing the genocide
No.
that's causing this division. It's people talking about it.
No,
Just shut the fuck up.
Our community should be united in doing nothing. In doing absolutely nothing.
Selling weapons to Israel.
While we do that. Doing nothing whilst we commit fucking crimes.
Generation X and Boomers, the Greens are in real trouble. They may have had some traction with Gen Z, but they are losing votes when it comes to these other cohorts. And so Labor feels...
We've seen it in the New South Wales local government election, the Brisbane City Council election as well. The Greens having a bad time. So you've got to put that down to what's happening to their brand nationally. Interesting though, when you look at these results in Brizzy, it's the Liberals of the LNP who might be picking up Maywar from the Greens. So the 3 federal seats they have here, Griffith, Ryan, Brisbane, they're all in play now.
Okay, now I don't know where the fuck the rest of this goes, but it'll become boring. Yeah,
I love the positioning of these people as like these like sensible, centrist, progressive. Like I don't know what the framing of these ABC people is meant to be anymore. But
I think it would have been really interesting to if Stephen Miles had won, because they were so like Palaszczuk was the premier beforehand. She was not a particularly progressive premier. She was Labor, but yeah, she was doing very hard on the youth crime. She did that thing about suspending the human rights.
Nice.
And so it would have been very interesting because when they were under heat, that's when he really just was like, well, we're just going to do everything that's popular. We're just going popular stuff. It would have been very interesting to see if they had won, whether or not they would have learnt anything that you can actually win elections by giving the left something.
Yeah. The left is meant to be disciplined and the right is meant to be appeased. That's the path to power.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the lesson is going to be here. Is interesting, and I find it hard when people complain about Labor stealing the Greens policies, like people from the Greens, because it's like.
Well, what do you want? What are you voting for?
Yeah,
if you want the policies,
if they're taking those policies, we want these policies in. If we can exert some sort of pressure, and the Labor then adopts our policies of more progressive ones, that's a good
win.
thing.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily then mean, okay, let's just vote for Labor all the time. Let's go join Labor. But it's like, oh, good. It shows that we've got strength and that we have to be listened to.
Yeah.
I do think, however, they are only doing this because there was a threat.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I don't think it's like that's our policy. It's our policy. You stole our thing. So I don't know how people talk about it.
The only bit of it I can understand is that like you'd rather have the Greens in power doing these policies because then they'll be doing other good things.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Adam Band is making a statement on it today in like an hour. Good. I'll be done with all of you guys and I can go watch it.
Okay.